So you've been at Univision 16, 17 years?
I've been at Univision since 2003. So what does that make that?
17 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a long time.
And so what did you do before that and out of college? I'd love to hear the origin story.
Well, we're going to go way, way, way back into the
Stop
dinosaur
it. No,
age.
stop.
So
I was just talking to somebody who was talking about Y2K, so I'm like, I totally get it.
well, actually, it was before that. So I'm originally from Miami. My parents are
Love
Cuban
Miami.
immigrants who came in the 60s when they were about 6 and 8 years old.
Okay.
And so eventually they met in Miami. My father, with a pit stop in Puerto Rico. My father went to Puerto Rico and then went to Miami. And then, so grew up in Miami. And when I was I always knew, thanks to my mom, really, who understood that I had a talent for, one, I loved politics. I used to watch it as a kid and debate. Apparently, I have no idea what I could have debated on or if there was any substance to what I said. But I just naturally gravitated to that, to weather, being from hurricanes. I used to sit there hours watching just
so
weather
funny.
coverage.
Is there video of this, by the way?
Of me watching it? No, probably not. But I also love to write and I love to read.
Yeah.
So my mom pretty early on realized that maybe a career in journalism would be something cool. So
smart of her, yeah.
Yeah, she was, and exposure is so key. So my mom had a friend who's now actually in Chicago, and I always like laugh with her, and I tell her, I'm like, you're the reason I'm in you're the reason I'm in TV. She's a woman.
Yeah.
Marianne Murciano.
Oh yeah. Grew up watching. Yep.
Okay, so Marianne was she's originally from Miami, went to grade school with my mom, and she was the morning anchor on the Fox station in the morning. And my mom called her up and said, hey, can I take Teri? And I mean, they knew each other, but they weren't great friends. So that moment in Marianne's life probably was like a blink. Like she didn't even remember that she made such an impression or gave me the access to something that would inspire and give me so much direction in my life. And so, I mean, I remember sitting in the studio and, when you're a kid, all you know is the anchor, right?
Yeah.
Like
that had to be cool though as a kid.
Oh, it was super cool.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that I was in the studio and I was like, this is so boring. And then they took me to what I learned was a control room.
Okay.
And there was someone sitting there with a pair of headsets and saying a lot of things and probably bossing a lot of people around. And I was like, I don't know what she does, but I want to do what she does.
People
and that was
listening.
a line producer. So, sort of paved the way in journalism on the high school. I was on my high school newspaper. When I was 15 years old, asked for a video camera instead of what, Latina girls or Hispanic girls sometimes have quinceañeras.
Yeah.
No Sweet 16.
No fancy dress.
I had a camera.
No.
No. That was what I wanted to do. I mean, I've been pretty hyper-focused my whole life. And so
I'm still figuring out what I want to do. So I love when I meet people that knew, like, from an early age.
You know what? It was a gift, but I will tell you, there is a point that came in my career, and I'm probably there now, where it's like, is this their 2.0? Right?
Oh,
like,
interesting. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm open to that. So my mother, who had a friend, my mother knows everybody. In Miami, you're either cousins with us or you know my family, because that's how the Cuban connection is, you know? And had a friend whose mom used to produce a show, a telethon at the Telemundo station in Miami, and needed some extra hands and help, which apparently the title is associate producer, which was like basically help do everything and coordinate, right?
Yeah.
And so I was spring break junior year when mom asked me, hey, do you want to do this? They'll pay you, whatever. I'm like, yeah, sure. So I was working out of the television station there. And I met a woman who would become ultimately one of my mentors and probably my first mentor ever. And she said to me, I was 16 and we used to always go have coffee together. And she said to me, do you want to come back in the summer and do an internship? And I was like, I got home and I was like, Mom, how do internships work? Like, do you get paid? Or, like what?
I feel like they weren't popular back in the day as they are today.
Oh, no. And they didn't pay you. Yeah. And so, and then that was fine. And my mom's answer was one that I think has had like a profound it's sort of been that same message throughout my whole life, which is like, I don't know, but you say yes to everything.
Oh,
and so
smart.
That
really
has
great
been
advice.
like, say yes to everything. Be like, remember that movie, Yes Man? Like, just when you open yourself to the world, and you open, and in my case, I like to think that it's sort of like God's plan, right?
Yeah.
When you open it and you're like, I don't really understand what's going on, but I'm going to work my butt off. I'm going to, lean into any opportunity that comes my way, I'm going to discern those opportunities and just lean into them in full force with a commitment and passion. Then the rest of everything else kind of fits together. I don't know. Like that's how my career has been. So, learned every job that summer that nobody else wanted to do. So when it came time to go back for senior year in high school, they said to me, do you want to keep on coming back and doing some of this stuff? And I was like, yeah, as long as I could go. So here I was a Catholic school girl who wore her uniform and would go after school there. And it was like, I've always looked very young. So I'm like, must have looked like 10 years old walking in and like, producing paid programming, whatever. Yeah. Nobody wanted to do that and they left it on me. And so it was great. For me, it was super exciting.
And what were your friends up to at that time? Were they like...
They were going to South Beach and hanging out at South Beach. And I really wasn't. Like at that point, I said, this is an opportunity that is an opportunity of a lifetime. It was a trip. Honestly, it wasn't difficult. It wasn't like I was making a huge sacrifice. I sitting on the beach all day long, going mind numb or hanging out at a club till super late, to me was not as exciting
like not enough.
As being there. And so senior year that year, it was the day of our Christmas. Well, it was a Christmas formal, right? The time came, somebody had asked me, it was the first Summit of the Americas that Clinton put together at the Port of Miami, and they needed help. They needed a freelancer. So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to that Christmas formal. Instead, I was in jeans and, who knows, a sweatshirt in the Port of Miami watching these presidents of Latin America, right? Which I had studied all of them. I had all their pictures up in front of me and I had to log tape, right? It wasn't a glamorous job, but the exciting thing of it was like,
just being there.
Oh my God, this is like a historical moment and I'm here. And I really loved that part about being on the front end of news, right? Like when it's happening as opposed to receiving it as a viewer, no? So, just ended up getting into college, stayed in Miami because the opportunities just, I kept great relationships at the TV station. They'd call me back for tons of stuff. Like, hey, you want to do this, that? So that was on the creative services and community relations side. That was all one department. But I wanted to do an internship in the news department. So day one of my internship is the day after the ValueJet plane crashed into the Everglades.
Oh gosh.
And so they're like, you want to go? And I'm like all preppy with my little polo shirt and like little moccasins and like, jeans.
Which are back in style, by the way. My daughter wears them.
She should wear them. If you wore it once, then don't wear it again. That's the rule, Otherwise you look kind of like out of style or too old to wear that, right? So went out and spent, that was super exciting to be out there. And then, one thing led to the other, kept those relationships going and working as a freelance. Because again, in the news department, I learned everything nobody else wanted to do and was like, every time they asked me, just said, yeah, I'll do it. Like they'd call me up, hey, so-and-so called in sick. You want to come in? Yeah, I'll do it. You know?
Like a utility player. Yeah.
Pretty much. And so then finally, my first full-time job was with the network.